Welcome back to the 8-Minute Podcast, where 8 minutes is all it takes to transform your day. So, if you're ready, let's dive in and make every minute count. This week's episode is a sort of ode to solitude. I thought it could be interesting to reflect on the difference, or perhaps the nuance, between loneliness and solitude. We live in a world where it is very easy to have access to some sort of companionship, whether that's physically or virtually. We want to grab dinner with a loved one. We pick up our phone, we book a restaurant, and just like that, done. In under an hour, we could be sitting down with a friend and having a conversation. Yet, most of us feel so lonely, and the concept of a loneliness epidemic is more and more widespread. We usually feel lonely when we're in our bed, staring at the ceiling, and it's 3 a.m. Or other times, we feel lonely at a party, surrounded by all the people that we love. Loneliness tends to sneak up on us. It's a little voice saying, nobody feels the way I feel, and no one else understands what I'm going through. But on the other side of loneliness is solitude. Solitude is a beautiful state. Solitude is about cherishing and enjoying our own company. It's about getting excited at the idea of spending time alone, reading a book, partaking in a hobby that we enjoy. Solitude is a space that can become wonderful. But it's also a space in which we remain present with ourselves and observe ourselves through discomfort, pain, anger, anxiety. There is a quote, I cannot remember who is the author, and if you do, please comment it down below. But the quote goes, being alone is not a void to be filled, but a space to grow. I really like this quote. I think it's very powerful. After all, we are the one constant in our lives, the person we will be with the longest. So we might as well nurture a fulfilling relationship with ourselves. In many ways, solitude is about fostering that sense of wholeness. It's a feeling that can only come from within. But navigating solitude can be a bit daunting at first. So how do we get from a state of loneliness to a state of enthusiastic solitude? There is no one definite answer, and this mindset shift doesn't happen overnight. But here are a few key elements that helped me personally. And please keep in mind that there are many other ways, and we all have to try and see what works for us. The first one being quite obvious, but figuring out why we feel lonely is a good place to start. Where does it come from? What are we seeking elsewhere, sometimes in other people, that we cannot seek within ourselves? Is it attention, love, validation, empathy, safety? It could be all sorts of things. Then, when we figure out the feeling that we are chasing, we can start modifying our behaviors. If we are looking for love, how can we be more loving towards ourselves? Should we be writing love notes and sticking them around our flat? Is it about setting a boundary? Is it about trying something out? The second strategy is spending time alone and doing things alone. Going to a restaurant, going for a walk, going to a museum, going on a trip on our own. Being and doing things on our own can help create that sense of safety. We then realize, oh, I can rely on myself. I have plenty of resources within me. When you think about it, it is a bit like when we meet new people. The more we spend time with them, the more of life we get to experience and share in their presence, and the more trust is generated. So, as I was reflecting on this topic for this week's episode, I realized how closely intertwined solitude was with self-confidence. It is part of the belief that we can stand on our own feet. I want to emphasize that solitude is not the same as ultra-independence or the belief that we must navigate everything on our own. Rather, it's about approaching others with the energy of wanting rather than needing them. Solitude is a great terrain to develop self-reliance and self-love. It's a beautiful way of building a closer connection from within and away from the outside noise. We could argue that the most powerful form of knowledge is knowing oneself, because the deeper our self-awareness, the more whole we feel, and the more of solitude we can embrace, so the stronger we become. As you may know, we are starting a tradition where each week we take some kind of action or reflect on something related to the episode's theme. So I'll end with this question. When was the last time you spent a moment with yourself, simply with you and for you? Let's all take a couple of minutes after listening to this episode to observe how we feel and cherish how far we've come in the journey to appreciate our own company. Please feel free to share this episode with people who you think might enjoy this format. There is a new episode coming out every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think. I value and appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you so much for tuning in. And remember that all you need is 8 minutes. Cheers.